Okay, good evening, everyone. So in the last class, we completed the application services, right? Okay. So in the today's session, we will go with the service called Cloud Formation. So this Cloud Formation is not required for a solutions architect. So the Cloud Formation is a DevOps service or a DevOps tool. Almost every day, the DevOps team, if the DevOps is like AWS, then they will use this Cloud Formation tool. And coming to this Cloud Formation, the Cloud Formation is an infrastructure as a service. The Cloud Formation is an infrastructure as a service. What is the meaning of infrastructure as a service? Sorry. This is not service, it's a code. Infrastructure as a code. What is the meaning of infrastructure as a code? Based on the code, what we provide, the infrastructure will be created. The Cloud Formation is a kind of an automation tool, which we can provide a code in the form of a template. Using that code, the Cloud Formation service will create that entire infrastructure. Like by using this, you can create a EC2 instance, you can create load balancer, you can create VPC, everything you can create automatically using the Cloud Formation. Generally, the DevOps team will use this for deployment features. Like if they would like to deploy a new EC2 instance, like let us say the example is there is a testing team in a company and every day they need to test the new version of the application. So what they have to do every day, they need to come to office and new server to be created. And then all the softwares, application, everything to be installed. And once they're done with the work, that has to be deleted. Most of the time, the regular QE team or developers, they don't know how to create the servers or how to manage the servers and everything. So the DevOps team will maintain a template, which is a Cloud Formation template, so that by using the template, with a simple clicks, anybody can create that entire infrastructure. In that, you can create the combination of EC2 instances, load balancer, database. Every infrastructure you can create using the Cloud Formation. So in this Cloud Formation will create the required infrastructure using the code which we provide. Or we can say using the template instead of using the template. Template is nothing but which contains a code in either a JSON format or YAML format. Template contains the code required to create the infrastructure in either JSON or YAML format. So we have some IAM policies. They were created in JSON format. But this Cloud Formation template can be created either JSON or YAML. You can use any of these things. And if you see in the real time, you never heard about the Cloud Formation directly. What they do is, even they don't log in to the Amazon console. They use some tool called Terraform. By using the Terraform, directly they can upload the template into the AWS Cloud Formation and they can deploy it. But here we are not using the Cloud Formation. Cloud Formation is not an AWS tool. That is a third-party tool. What we do is, we will download a sample template, like Amazon will provide some sample templates. We will download one sample template and we will modify the template by some names, headings or something. And then using that template, we can create the infrastructure using the Cloud Formation service. So first what we do is, let us try to deploy a PHP application using the Cloud Formation with high availability. Generally, what are the requirements to run a PHP application? What are the requirements to run a PHP application? So the code will be written in PHP format, right? So to run that, you need an Apache server, any kind of a web server which can support PHP, and then it requires some kind of a PHP module, and then it requires a database. It requires a database. And then to install all these components, what we need is we need an operating system. And to install the operating system, we need an EC2 instance. And this operating system can be either Linux or Windows. And to create the EC2 instance, you need some hardware. Like in the EC2 place, we can mention like server. So this server is called as EC2, and this hardware is nothing but infrastructure, right? So what we have to do first, we have to create one EC2 instance. Then we need to install the database. We need to install the Apache. We need to install the PHP module. And then you have to deploy your application. These are the things we have to do manually. But in this CloudFormation, everybody can create this entire infrastructure using the template. And here, whenever we talk about the high availability, it requires a load balancer, right? It requires a load balancer. And even that load balancer can be created using this CloudFormation. And you can use auto scaling. Everything you can use, like load balancer and auto scaling. Every component can be created using the CloudFormation. Always the template will be created and provided by the DevOps team, and all other teams can use the template to deploy the requirements using according to their requirements. So what we observe with this is we will try to deploy one sample application, which is a PHP application using multi-AG deployment, like high availability. So I can say deploy PHP application using CloudFormation with high availability. With high availability. So before doing that, we will see how a template looks like. And I will show you two different templates, which is like one is a single instance deployment and the second one is high availability deployment. We will observe both the things, and both are as sample templates. And if you would like to create your own template, you must learn either JSON or YAML, YAML. You have to write that, you have to know that language, and in that you can write the code. And I will show you the sample template, and easy to understand. By seeing the code, we can easily understand what exactly is going to happen. So first, let me log into our Amazon account. And we are not creating now, just we are going to check what it is and how the template looks like. So in the search box, let us go to the CloudFormation. And there are three different ways to deploy the infrastructure using these templates. One is you might have your own template, or you can design the template in the AWS, or you can use the sample template. Let us say already you created your own template, which is available in your local computer. By uploading the template, you can deploy the infrastructure, or you can write your own template while you are deploying the infrastructure, or you can use the sample template. We will see here. So here you can see there is an option called create stack. What is the meaning of a stack? Collection of related services under single or name or something. So in this example, we are going to create one EC2 instance, one database. So these two is a combination of a stack. The stack contains these two modules, and load balancer also, load balancer and auto scaling. All these services will be available as a stack. Okay, so here click on create stack, and you can see there are three different options available. One is a template is ready. That means already the template is available in your local computer. So you can select upload a template file, and you can upload that JSON or YAML file. And then you can next, and you can deploy it. Let us say you can create a template in Designer also. If you select the third option, you can click on create template in Designer. So it will take you to a blank Designer page where you can select all the modules and you have to write the code. You have to write the code and you have to map all the components. third option or the middle option is use a sample template. At this stage, we will try to use the sample template. So select the use a sample template button. And here you can see some predefined sample templates available. And here you can see LAMP stack. LAMP stack means Linux operating system, Apache, MySQL, and PHP, which is required for your PHP application to run. And here you can click on view in designer just to see how the template looks like. And this is single or simple deployment, which doesn't provide the high availability and all the things. That means you don't get a load balancer, you don't get auto scaling, you will get a single EC2 instance in which everything will be installed. That's how the template got designed. Let us see what is the template and how it looks like. So click on this view in designer. So the template will be opened in the CloudFormation designer where we can see everything. So wait a second. Okay. So here you can see the template contains these two components. One is a web server, which is a EC2 instance, and this is a security group. So let me click on this web server and you can see the code related to that particular web server. So web server instance, and it is having two different modules, install and run. What it is installing? MySQL, MySQL server libraries, HTTPD, PHP, and then it is creating index.php file in this var www.html. And what that index.php contains is this particular data. And you can see there is a security group, right? If you select the security group, you can see the data rules about the security group. TCP 80 port is opening from anywhere, and 22 port is getting opened from SSH location. What is that SSH location? At the time of deploying the template, it will ask you to mention the SSH location. This is a dynamic value. That's why it is set like reference. Whatever the user enters at the time of deploying the template, it will ask you to mention the source. That will be called as a SSH location, and that will be placed here. This is like simple deployment, which doesn't contain any complex services and everything. And in the same way, if I click the multi-AG LAMP stack, you can get auto scaling, load balancer, minimum 2 EC2 instances, and a separate database RDS to support the high availability. So you can click on use a sample template. And here I can say this one, multi-AG simple LAMP stack. Click on view in designer. So we will see how the template looks like. And you can see there are a lot of components here. So here you can see the RDS database instance and load balancer target group. And this is a load balancer. And here security group for the database instance, security group for the web server, auto scaling group, load balancer listener, launch configuration for the auto scaling. So all these things will be created. So now what I do is, I don't want to use this template as it is. I don't want to use that. And what I do is, I can download this template. I can download this template to my local computer. I can say PHP application. Click on save. And I will modify this template and I will upload it at the time of creating the infrastructure using the CloudFormation. Just I downloaded the sample template. And here, let me open the template in any of your favorite notepad or editor. I will use Notepad++. So this is what the Notepad template looks like. So here, let me increase the size. So this is how the template looks like. So here, the database name path, database name. So I downloaded which format? JSON, right? Okay, wait a second. somewhere. Okay. So now here you can see the database name. Default will be my database, or you can change that. And the database name must be a string, and minimum length should be 1 character and maximum to be 64 characters. Allowed pattern will be these characters you can use. And database username, you have to provide the username. It will ask all these details at the time of deployment. Even if you know the coding, you can hard code that so that the user cannot modify the username. Automatically, whatever the username you provide here, that username will be assigned. So password for the database. Storage. What is the storage? Default is 5. But what is the minimum size of the RDS database instance? 20 GB. So if you try to create with 5 GB, it will not be allowed. It will fail. Database cannot be created. And database instance class. What are the different things allowed here? There are a lot of values provided. So the user can select only from the mentioned values. If they don't mention any value, the default will be selected automatically. And multi-AG database is true. So the database will be created with multi-AG deployment, because for high availability, multi-AG is required. And coming to the web server capacity, minimum is the 2. So the default is 2. For auto scaling, minimum is a 1 and maximum is a 5. And it will ask you how many initial number you need. Default is 2, but it will allow you to change with minimum how many number of EC2 instances you would like to run the load balance. And what should be the instance type of your EC2 instances. So they will provide multiple values and you can select from the drop down. And SSH location, from where you would like to allow the incoming request for SSH. By default, that will be from anywhere. And then these are the different values, like different instance types. And these are the different regions. Based on the region, it will select the so-and-so AMI. And application load balancer, listener, target group. For everything, they will write the code. Web server group, like auto scaling group. And then launch configuration for the auto scaling. So each and every part will be mentioned in the script, in the template. We should not call it as a script, it's a template. So here, finally, a PHP website will be up and running, right? So here what I do is, this will be the title of your PHP application. I can say, I will change the title to Welcome to Naresh IT. And then the header tag of the application, I can say application deployed using CloudFormation. So once the application is running, you can see this message in the application homepage, so that we can understand that whatever the template we uploaded, using the template, the infrastructure got created. Just I saved it. Now we will see how to upload this template and how to create that particular template and how to create the infrastructure using the template. So log into the CloudFormation. You can download any sample templates from the internet. They will work. Click on create stack. So template is already ready and the template is available in my laptop, right? So here select template is ready. And where is the template? In my laptop. If you can upload the template to the S3 bucket so that you can use the S3 URL, and the template must be public. The template must be public. And then select upload a template file. Click on choose file. And let me select that one. And it will only support JSON or YAML, YAML. Then click on next. So stack name, enter a stack name. Stack means the name of that particular entire infrastructure. I can say my PHP application. Then database allocated size. And here the database is getting created using the RDS. And for the RDS, minimum database size must be 20 GB. So select 20 GB minimum, or you can increase more than that also. You can select 23 also. And instance class. Because the T2.micro is a free tier eligible, I will go with a T2.micro. But it seems in the allowed list, they didn't mention the T2.micro. So you can only select from the allowed list of instance types. So let me select the T2.small. Database name, you can change that my phpdb. You can use any name. Password, the database password. Instance type T2.small. Sorry, what it is? Yeah, this is the web server EC2 instance. Web server also requires an instance type, that is a T2.small, and key name, which is a key pair. Key name is nothing but key pair. Would you like to create the database using multi-AZ? Yes, because I'm planning for high availability. Select it as a true. SSH location for your web server, from where you would like to allow the SSH traffic. You can select from anywhere, or you can modify that only from your location you can. And then the subnets. I will select all the subnets of Northern Virginia region, because we are using auto scaling. So the instances will be spread across all the subnets. And VPC, let me select the VPC. Web server capacity, that means minimum capacity. Initially, it will start with 2 servers. Click on next. Then what is the maximum? 5. That was hard coded in the template. You cannot modify that. That was updated in the template. If you need maximum 10, you have to update the template. So once you click on next, you can get the tag. If you need some tag, you can add the tags. And rollback all stack resources. What is this rollback means? Let us say while you are deploying the infrastructure, it got some errors. Then whatever got created up to that time, everything will be automatically deleted. That is what rollback. Otherwise, you have to delete everything manually. Always it is recommended to select the rollback, scroll down, and even you can click on notifications and you can create an SNS topic, so that whenever something is getting created, you will get notifications. Like we are using auto scaling, right? In that auto scaling, what we call that? It will create a new instance and it will delete an existing instance, right? Every time a new instance got created or an existing instance got deleted, if you would like to receive a notification, then you have to use this option. If you don't need any notification, you can ignore this and then click on next. So here you can review all the options and then click on create stack. Now the stack is getting created and you can see whatever is happening here. So first it got initiated by the user. It will read the template. Whatever you mention in the template, everything will be created automatically. So here what happened as of now? Target group got created for your load balancer. Then the load balancer to be created. And then the RDS instance to be created. Then EC2 instance to be created. Finally, the infrastructure deployment will be complete. So you have to wait till all the components to be created. It will take like minimum 10 to 15 minutes because the database creation with a multi-AZ deployment will take 10 minutes, right? So you have to wait that much time. And even here also, if you click on the template tab, you can see all the code. Whatever the code contained by the template that you can see here. This is the template. So finally, it will generate the website URL. Because whatever the application is running, that has to be accessed by the website URL, right? That will generate that. How it will generate? it will get the application load balancer DNS name, and the same will be provided to you because that application will be accessible using the load balancer. So everything will be written in the format. Everything will be written in either JSON or YAML, YAML. Okay, so here, so first load balancer target group got created. Then the load balancer got created. And the listener for the load balancer got created here. And security group for the EC2 instance. And now here, security group for the database is getting created. And that is done. And now the database creation is in progress. And what is the database name we have given? I think my PHP DB or something, right? Okay. Let me open the RDS in a new tab just to check the database is got initiated or not. The process of database creation got initiated or not. And you can see there is one database 1/40. Let me click on the database. And you can see the database identifier. And here it is creating. This is database instance name. And whatever the database name we provided as my PHP DB, that will be the actual database that will be available in this database instance. What is the name? My PHP DB. Username, default username admin, password we provided. In the CloudFormation page, we provided the database name and we provided the password for the database. And for the EC2 instance, we selected the key pair. So it will take some time because it is a multi-AG deployment and it will take 10 minutes of time. Maximum of 10 minutes. Till then, the next step will not be processed. What will be the next step is about the EC2 instance creation. Until the database creation is done, it will not continue with the process of creation of the EC2 instances. Once the instance got created, then all the required components will be installed according to the commands what you provided in the template. And in that, the PHP web application will display that application deployed using CloudFormation or something, right? That will be displayed as a heading. And in the title, you can say, welcome to Naresh IT or something. This is what the title, RDS Management Console, right? That is the title. Anyways, wait for a few more minutes. Let the database to be created. And if you check something else on the CloudFormation, so we created the stacks, right? If you click on the stacks, you can see that the stack is in progress. And in the description, you can read all the description. This CloudFormation sample template will provide LAMP with multi-age. And you can see all the information about that particular template. And then click on the stack and you can see different options. Let me close all these so that we will get a bigger screen. Okay. So in this page, if you click on events, you can see what is happening with that particular stack. And in the resources, you can see what are the resources created under this particular stack. Database, security group for the web server, load balancer, security group for the database, target group, listener. These all are the resources under the stack. Output here, you will get the URL to access the application which is running on this particular stack. In the parameters, you can see whatever the parameters you provided dynamically. These are the details we provided at the time of deploying the template. I selected database storage as 23, instance size as t2.small. This is the database name. All these values we provided manually. Template, you can see all the details about the template. And change sets. What is this change sets? If you would like to modify the template, you can create a change set and you can upload that so that those modifications will be automatically updated on your stack. You can modify or you can modify the template and you can update as what we call the change settings, change sets. so that the infrastructure will be modified according to the changes. Okay. So if I go to the events, still it is getting created. Let me refresh to check the status of this database creation. And you can see the status as modifying. That means it is creating some kind of a replication with the primary instance and the backend secondary instance. And in the last RDS session, at the time of creating the multi-AG, what is the option we selected? We have seen two different types of multi-AGs, right? What are those? One is Aurora multi-AG and the second one is a regular multi-AG. In this, you cannot use the standby instance. Even though it is a multi-AG, you cannot see the two database instances. One will be visible, which can be used all the time. If it is failed, then the standby instance will come into the service. Whereas in the Aurora, all the standby instances, we call them as a readers or a replicas, right? They will be continuously working and you can share the load across all the things. So manual failover is possible in that Aurora multi-AG deploy. But here, manual failover is not possible on MySQL or any other RDS instances. Only for Aurora, you will get some advanced feature like at a time you can maintain all the instances available under multi-AZ deployment. Until the status is available, your cloud formation will not proceed further. Okay, it seems almost done. The status is backing up, so which will not take much time, like 1 or 2 minutes more. Once the backup is done, the database status will be available. Once the status is available, then the CloudFormation deployment will identify that the database got created and it will continue with the EC2 instance creation. Just we have to wait like 1 or 2 more minutes. Still the snapshot is getting created. It is not yet done. So once it is done, then your database will be available. Because whenever a new database got created, automatically it will create a backup of that particular database instance. So that's where it got struck. It will take like 1 or 2 more minutes. It depends on the size of the database, how much data you have and what is the size of the database. And we create like 23 GB, but it doesn't contain 23 GB of a data. Might be some sample data or empty database. Okay, it seems like the database status is available. So the database creation is done, and it might take 1 more minute to identify that the database got created. Once it identifies that the MySQL database is done, then it will continue with the remaining steps, which won't take much time. Instantly, they will be created. Only the EC2 instance might take like 2 to 3 minutes of time. The security groups and the attaching the security groups, they won't take much time. Anyways, let me refresh the page just to get the updated values, what is happening in the backend. Okay, you can see the database got created, right? Create complete. And now it is creating the launch configuration. What is this launch configuration? Launch configuration is a part of auto scaling. Auto scaling feature requires launch configuration and auto scaling group. Now it is creating the launch configuration, and the launch configuration is done. Then it is creating auto scaling group. In the auto scaling group, which will be what will be mentioned, like how many instances you need minimum, maximum, how many instances, when to create a new instance, and when to delete an existing instance. All this option will be mentioned in the auto scaling group. Once it is done, automatically your EC2 instances will be launched. And how many EC2 instances we selected by default? Default is 2 and maximum will be 5. That is what we mentioned in the template. Minimum default value we mentioned at the time of deploying the template. Maximum number we mentioned in the template. Let me show you that. where we have mentioned that. So this is the value where we have selected the maximum value as a 5. That was hard coded. So minimum initial number of web server things to be, this is the one which we dynamically enter. Okay, this is the template. So based on this maximum value 5, auto scaling can create maximum 5 instances based on your CPU utilization. Okay, so let us go back to the events. Now the launch configuration is done and that was already done, right? So what is happening here? Web server group received success signal. And what are these two? What are these two? EC2 instances. The CloudFormation received success signal for 2 EC2 instance deployment. So keeping this page open in a different tab, I will open the EC2 to check the 2 instances are getting created or not. Because we mentioned that initial number of servers to be 2. And these 3, they are running from the last 2 days. Ignore that. These are the 2 which were created just now. One is still initializing, one is already created. Because we provided the default number of web servers to be 2. And at the same time, if you go to the target groups, you can see a target group. And if you check the load balancers, you can see a load balancer already got created. And in the target group, those 2 EC2 instances will be added. You can see 2 targets got added. And in the launch configuration, you can see the launch configuration was created automatically. In the auto scaling group, you can see a group called web server group, which is an auto scaling group. Minimum number to be 2, desired capacity 2, minimum is a 1 and maximum are 5. And when automatic scaling will be done, all the things will be mentioned in that particular auto scaling group. Launch configuration will be included with what AMI to be used, which AMI to be used, what is the instance type, which key pair to be used, what is the security group. That information will be available in the launch configuration. Auto scaling group contains when to create and when to delete. Okay, so here it seems it is complete. So if I go back to the stack, you can see the status as a create complete. So if you click on the outputs tab, you can see the URL. And by using this URL, you can access your application which is deployed using the CloudFormation. This is the URL which we can access so that the PHP application which is running on your EC2 instance or that entire stack will be loaded. So still we are unable to access. What might be the reason? Okay. So in this case, definitely there is some error or something. That's why we are unable to load the page. What might be the error? So how the traffic will go? So here I am trying to access my application. First, my request will go to the load balancer, right? So the load balancer will have some kind of a security group. What ports were open on the load balancer security group? 80 and 443 must be open, right? So 80 and 443 ports were opened in the template. Like, did they mention 80 and 443 ports to be opened? Let us see. Go to the load balancer. This is the load balancer, and identify which security group is assigned to this particular load balancer. So this is the security group, right? Click on that to check what inbound rules were mentioned in this particular security group. This is the one, right? So inbound rules, let me click on that so that a new page will be open. Inbound rules. What is the traffic? All traffic, all protocols, all ports were open, but only from the same security group, not from anywhere. That is the problem. That means, I guess, in the template, they didn't mention about the security group of the load balancer That's why the default security group was attached. Default security group will never allow any traffic from outside. The default security group will always allow the traffic from the instances which were attached to the same security group. That is the problem. So if you know the code, you can attach a new block which will allow the 80 and 443 ports. So this part was missed in the template. That's why those rules were not added into that particular security group. Now let me refresh. Now you can see. See here the title tag. You can see welcome to Naresh IT, which we updated, which we modified in the template. And here, this is also we modified, right? So whatever you mention in the template, that will be available into the stack. Whatever you write, that will be deployed. This is how the CloudFormation will be used to deploy the infrastructure automatically. But they use something called Terraform. Even they don't log into the console. They will configure the CLI, and in the CLI, they will type the command, a simple command like deploy and the template name. Everything will be deployed automatically using the Terraform. And whatever the values we provided manually, those values they will include in the template itself. These are the parameters, right? Everything will be included into the template itself. They will hard code that. So no need to mention or no need to select anything. Just if you run the template, everything will be created with default options. That's how in the real time, the CloudFormation will be used. This is an infrastructure as a code. That is infrastructure as a code. Now, another question is, does this CloudFormation chargeable? The CloudFormation service is not chargeable, but whatever the resources you create under the stack, they will be charged. What all we have created? So if you go to the stack and if you click on the resources, you can see all the things. So load balancer, that is a chargeable. Target group is not chargeable. For the load balancer, you will be charged for every 1 hour. Security groups are free. Launch config is free. Database, which is a multi-AZ deployment, which is not a free. So in this entire thing, you will be charged for the database, and you will be charged for the load balancer, and you will be charged for the EC2 instances, because the EC2 instances were created using T2.small. For the CloudFormation, there is no separate charge, but the resources, whatever you create, those resources will be charged at actual cost. Okay, right. So this is about the CloudFormation, and just you need to have some idea, which is not required for the certification or something. That is mandatory for the DevOps team. Okay, they will use the CloudFormation with Terraform. Terraform is a tool provided to you by HashiCorp. HashiCorp's tool. There's a third-party tool which is a Terraform. By using this Terraform, you can integrate your Terraform tool with any cloud. You can use the Terraform with AWS. You can use with Azure, and you can use with Google Cloud also. And now I think the Terraform is most popular tool in the market for the DevOps. Okay, so this is about the CloudFormation, which is infrastructure as a code. So are you guys clear on this, or any questions? Okay, if you have any questions on this, let me know so that we can discuss about the questions. And if you guys are clear, you guys can leave. And today is Saturday, right? Okay, so on Monday, we will go with a Lambda tool. Lambda is also a developer tool, which is a kind of a functionality as a service. So you can write the function, and that function will be maintained by AWS. No need to worry about the underlying infrastructure or a platform to run the functions. Amazon will take care of running all your functions as a managed service. We will see some Lambda function. There also we will use some sample Lambda function. Like if you upload some image file to 1S3 bucket, how the Lambda function will trigger and how it will pick that image and how that image will be compressed. Developers. That's the developer tool. Sometimes DevOps also can use, like to stop the instance. Let us say if you would like to stop the EC2 instance daily at 10 p.m. There is no direct option, right? So you can use the Lambda to do that. Actually, that's a developer tool. Sometimes DevOps also use that Lambda. Okay, any questions? Okay, then thank you everyone. We'll continue on Monday.